Hey, I'm Chris Craddock, and I have helped thousands of people build wealth through buying and selling real estate. Today, we're going to talk about the question, should I hire a home inspector? Well, the answer is yes, unless you have a lot of experience in the real estate industry. A home inspector will do a couple things. Number one, a home inspector has a systematic check of your property, right? They're going to check your electrical, they're going to check your plumbing, they're going to check your appliances, they're going to look and see any exposed foundation areas that they'll be able to look and see if there's any reason for worry. And the best part about that is they're not necessarily experts in all of those crafts, but what they can do is tell you, hey, there might be worries here, you should bring in an expert to check this out, right? So that's the big key there. So that's number one. Number two, what they're gonna do is be able to help you sleep well at night, knowing that you've had somebody walk through and that you don't have a big miss, right? And that's what home inspectors really are doing, because that's not what we do every day. If you're an average homeowner that buys 3 houses in a lifetime, you are not gonna know all of the pieces to check. And it's such a big investment that you really, really, really wanna have somebody that does this day in and day out, has their checklist, goes through, tells you what you need to check out. Number 3, and this is just really important, is check your state and make sure that your state has licensed home inspectors, because there's a lot of states where you literally can just slap a sign on the side of a truck and boom, you're a home inspector the next day. And Virginia used to be one of those states. Now people have to go through licensing and apprenticeships and all the other different pieces on that front, which doesn't solve the problem saying that there won't be bad home inspectors, because there will be, but that is why it's so important to come and get somebody that has a good referral, a good recommendation. And so with that said, we typically refer home inspectors that we've worked with for years and we've done thousands of transactions with, that we trust and we know are fairly good. Now, does that mean they never miss anything? No, of course not. Even the best of us will miss something here and there. I mean, we all have places where we wish we had mulligans in our life, but the ones that are the best it's very few and far between that they miss things. So with that said, what do we need to remember? 1, be aware that home inspectors can miss things. Number 2, be aware that in a lot of states, home inspectors are not licensed, right? Like they just show up. Number 3, be aware that home inspectors are not experts in every trade, in every field, right? So they need to bring in somebody. And then this is the last one, and this is one that a lot of people don't recognize, is a lot of times a buyer will bring in a home inspector just that they Googled and they found, and I have found this to be the case so many times with a random home inspector, that they come in and they want to prove their worth. And so they scare the heck out of the potential buyer, right? I had this one home inspector that listed everything on this home inspection report that wasn't a big deal. So on the outside of the house, here's an example. You see the condensing unit on the outside of the house, part of the HVAC. Well, there is a concrete pad on it. Well, they decided to do a concrete pad walkway from the back door over to the concrete pad. So if you wanted to walk over there, which you're not doing every day, but you don't have to get your feet wet if there's dew on the grass in the mornings, right? That's the deal. Well, what happened was a root had grown up on the walkway, not near the condensing unit, not near anything else. And the concrete was just a little bit off, right? Just a tad bit off. Well, what happened was he put on their trip hazard. Well, the seller or the buyer was nervous about everything on the report, right? And so she said, I want absolutely everything on this report fixed. Well, one of the things was a trip hazard on there because it was just slightly off kilter. I mean, there were so many other things that he just listed that weren't a big deal at all, but he listed all of them and he said, oh man, you gotta watch out for all of these things. Instead of just saying, hey, I need to put this on there just so you're aware of it, but it's not that big of a deal. And what he did was scared off the buyer And so the buyer decided, oh my gosh, this house is a lemon, this house is a problem, I gotta get to another place. And that was just because the guy wanted to prove that he was worth the $500 or $600 that our client was paying him. So with that said, if you are hiring a home inspector, make sure the home inspector knows, listen, I don't want you to try to scare me about things. I want you to tell me what are the problems, and then you can let the buyer, if this is you can go and decide, okay, how much will it cost to fix this? And this is something that actually was really eye-opening for a lot of my buyer clients when I helped them understand, coming from, I've got very close relationships with the construction background as someone who's done so many house flips myself, is that there are very few problems that cannot be solved in a house. Now, some of them are more expensive than you want to spend, but even a foundation issue, heck, when the third house I ever flipped had this massive foundation issue, and there was some mold, there was a foundation issue, all the things that scare the heck out of people. But honestly, it cost us $13,000 to fix the foundation, and it cost us another $5,000 to fix the mold issue. And everything was completely fixed. We have certification letters, structural engineer came through, mold tester tested the particle, or I think it's called particulates in the air for the mold. Everything was good as new, and it cost us less than $20,000 on a house that we got a great deal on. And so I say that to say, a lot of times a home inspector will, and you hear another story, a home inspector was like, oh man, the basement was filled with mold. Well, yeah, it was filled with mold, but the home inspector didn't have any business bringing emotion in it. He just needed to post, there was mold in the basement, bring in a mold remediation company that can come in, remediate all the mold. Usually that comes with some sort of waterproofing in the basement. You can waterproof the basement, remediate the mold, and then you can get it done. But you can fix every problem that's out there for a house in 99% of the world. So all of this said, a home inspector is great to have because he's gonna let you know what are the potential issues with the house. You can bring in an expert in that field. You can know how much it will cost, and then you can decide, okay, well, if it costs $15,000, do I get the seller to pay for it? Is it still worth it for me to pay for it, or what? Now, finally, let me throw this out there. If you are a buyer and the market is crazy, oftentimes a seller will not allow for a home inspection contingency. So there are two options that you do have. One is a contingency to void only, where you can't ask for anything, but if it turns out there's way too many issues with the house than you want to take on for the price you're paying, you can just void and walk away. The other option, and this is an option that we used a lot post-pandemic when houses were selling like crazy, we didn't want our clients to get into houses without any sort of inspection, especially older houses that look like there may be some other issues there. We wanted to see that happen. So what we did was we called it a walk and talk pre-inspection. And so we went and viewed the house with the inspector. We didn't do the full 4-hour, 5-hour inspection, but we had the inspector go through and check out all of the major issues: the HVAC, the roof, the foundation, the hot water heater, the plumbing, just some of the things that you could walk through and within an hour just know, okay, we're good on these things. There may be some door hinges that need to be adjusted or something very small, but a walk and talk and pre-inspection can also avoid having to get into a house and then not knowing what you get. Now, it will cost you some money up front because you're not under contract with the house yet, so you can't guarantee that isn't just lost money. But on the other hand, if you submit an offer with no home inspection contingency, you are much more likely to get that property because the seller says, all right, well, it's more certain they're going to be at the closing table. So hopefully that is helpful in understanding that a home inspection is so powerful and being able to sleep well at night, but also knowing you can fix almost every problem in a house. So if there's anything else that we can do to talk about, to educate you, to bring more light to the subject of buying and selling real estate, building wealth in real estate, post in the chat, post in the comment, like, subscribe, be a part of our community, and until next time, go kill it. Boom.